Hi everyone, welcome to week 7. There is just going to be one video this week. We are going to just do one video. It's about 5 slides for section 3. So it'll be one video and 2 separate assignments for honors and advanced, and one video and one assignment for my CCP class. So we are going to get started and finish talking about the Reformation. And by doing that, we are going to first start by talking about this man here, John Calvin. Calvin was born in France in 1509. He believed that men and women were sinful by nature and that God only saves some people. So he did not believe what the Pope said, that anyone could be saved if they did X, Y, or Z to redeem themselves. He said that, nope, God only saves some people. This idea is known as predestination, the doctrine that God predecides who will be saved. So before anyone has lived their life or taken any actions, the idea of predestination, purported by Calvin, says that God decides before that whether or not a person will be saved. Calvinism became a sect of Christianity based on Calvin's teachings. And it wasn't too long before Calvinism started to spread. Calvin believed that the ideal government was a government known as a theocracy. A theocracy is a government controlled by religious leaders, so where the government and religion are intertwined together. John Calvin and his followers ruled the city of Geneva in Switzerland. And in 1559, one of those followers in Geneva in Switzerland, John Knox, brought Calvin's ideas from Switzerland to Scotland. The followers of Knox in Scotland became known as Presbyterians. And in France, Calvin's followers became known as Huguenots. So we see Protestantism as it is spreading throughout Europe. Many different Protestant sects are being formed. So, of course, started off with Lutheranism, but now we are also seeing other Protestant sects, Calvinism, Presbyterianism, Huguenots, all these different groupings. There are some other groups as well. In fact, there are many other groups, but we start to see those groups form over differences in belief. One of them are the Anabaptists, and these are Christians who only baptized those old enough to decide on their own to be Christian. So instead of baptizing babies, allowing individuals to grow older and then make the decision on their own to be baptized. We see women play a key role early on in the Reformation, but over time, women's roles did become more limited than they had been at first. As all these different people are starting to leave the Catholic Church and no longer want to live under the authority of the Pope, we do see a Reformation occur within the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church decides to make some changes. Millions of Catholics worked to reform, to fix some of these problems within the Catholic Church. One of those reformers was this man here, Ignatius of Loyola. He was considered one of the greatest reformers of the church, and in 1540, the Pope made all of his followers into a religious order, a religious group called the Society of Jesus. Today, members of that religious order are known as Jesuits, and they are members of the Society of Jesus. So Jesuits are a part of the Catholic Church. They tend to be a more liberal or progressive part of the Catholic Church. They worked then to reform and worked all throughout Europe to reform the Catholic Church throughout many different European countries. The legacy of the Reformation has been very large. We see at this point that Protestant churches began and continued to flourish, to do very well. Religion at this point no longer united Europe in the way that it had been before. Yes, the majority of the people, a very large majority of the people in Europe were still Christian. However, they did not follow the Pope. They were no longer all Catholic, all following the Pope. And that caused some division. As the church's power, the Pope's power declined, individual monarchs, kings and queens, and the different states, the different countries started to gain their own power. And this led to modern nation states. At the start of next year, you are going to work to see how the modern world is formed. And much of that is formed because the Pope stopped having as much control as it did and allowed these states and these kings and queens to find their own voice and to make their own rulings separate from the church, allowing a new modern era to begin. Through both its political and social effects, the Reformation helped to set the stage for the modern world. Without it, things may look quite a bit different today. Please look at the assignments I've sent you in your emails. And of course, if you have any questions about them at all, please do not hesitate to reach out to me either by email or through Remind. Please let me know if you have any questions. I hope you have a great week.